Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a concept that sounds super technical, but is actually all about you. We're going to take what usually feels like a really daunting, overly complicated IT problem and flip it into simple daily empowerment. We're talking about why you are actually the ultimate defense against cyber threats.
So let's kick things off by busting a massive myth right out of the gate. When most of us think of cybersecurity, we probably picture some hacker in a dark room typing endless lines of code, right? But the reality is, information security is definitely not just something for the tech team to worry about. Every single one of us plays a crucial role.
Because here's the thing. Attackers aren't usually wasting their time trying to smash through complex digital walls. I mean, why spend weeks trying to hack a multi-million-dollar firewall when they can just send a clever email and rely on human error to literally open the front door for them?
To help build up your personal human firewall, we've organized this explainer into 6 quick, actionable sections. We'll start by looking at your direct impact, define what sensitive info actually looks like, and then dive into everyday dangers like phishing, the new risks of remote work and AI, your workspace habits, and finally, a simple protocol to keep you safe.
All right, starting right off with Section 1, why this is literally in your hands.
It's kind of wild to think about, but a single, totally routine action that you probably do on autopilot is exactly what attackers are preying on. Just one quick click on a bad link, reusing an old password because it's easy to remember, or jumping onto an unsecured cafe Wi-Fi network can literally bring an entire system down.
Moving into Section 2, let's get clear on what exactly we're trying to protect here. We always think of credit cards, right? But look at the sheer variety of data here. It's so much more than just financials. It's medical info, internal contracts, ID numbers, and basic employee data. Any of this falling into the wrong hands can do serious harm to the organization, our clients, and even our own coworkers.
Now, you might be looking at some internal documents and thinking, who cares about a random piece of data? It's harmless. But context is absolutely everything. Think of it like a giant puzzle. When attackers combine that one unimportant fragment with other pieces they've scraped from the web, they suddenly have the full picture they need to bypass security questions or craft really convincing scams.
Okay, on to Section 3. Let's look at the actual online dangers, specifically phishing and passwords.
You might wonder why there's constant nagging about weak passwords. What are the odds someone actually guesses your birthday? Well, the scary truth is attackers aren't manually guessing anything. They use automated tools that fire off millions of combinations a second. They can crack a simple password in less time than it takes you to sip your coffee. You can really see the difference here. On the left, we've got those terrible, easily hackable habits, things like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on the right, the ironclad rules for a strong password. You want at least 12 characters, a good mix of letters, numbers, and symbols, and this is absolutely crucial. It has to be unique for every single system. But here's the kicker. Even with an amazing, uncrackable password, you absolutely must turn on multi-factor authentication, or MFA, wherever it's an option. Why? Because it forces the attacker to need a second key, like a random code sent to your phone, even if they completely steal your primary password. It's a game changer.
Which perfectly tees up our next threat, phishing. Think of phishing as essentially a digital con game. It's an attack designed to manipulate your emotions, usually playing on fear, curiosity, or extreme urgency, just to trick you into compromising your security. They want you to click a bad link, download a file, or just hand over your credentials. So you've got to train your brain to spot these red flags before your mouse gets anywhere near that link. Look out for suddenly urgent demands, threats that your account is going to be locked, weird typos, or a highly unusual request from your boss asking for data or gift cards. Just take a breath and look closely. Moving right along to Section 4, let's talk about the new normal, the vulnerabilities of remote work and artificial intelligence.
Working from a coffee shop is awesome, but the rules of the security game completely change out there. You have to strictly stick to secure company equipment. Always lock your screen when you grab your coffee. And whatever you do, steer clear of public Wi-Fi, don't send work to your personal Gmail, and avoid unapproved USB drives. Keep that perimeter secure.
And then there's AI. Let's look at a super common scenario. Say you've got a massive, confidential contract to summarize. To save an hour, you just copy and paste the whole thing right into ChatGPT. Sounds incredibly helpful, right? But what actually just happened there?
The harsh reality? The second you hit enter, the organization has completely lost control of that information. It's out there.
You must never feed medical info, financials, contracts, or passwords into external, unapproved AI platforms, because once it's fed into that machine, we simply cannot guarantee where it goes or who's going to see it next.
That brings us to Section 5, looking closely at your immediate physical and digital workspace.
It's funny, but there's a really direct parallel here. Leaving a sticky note with a password right there on your physical desk is just as bad as accidentally oversharing a sensitive internal spreadsheet during a Zoom screen share. Leaving info exposed in either world is a massive vulnerability. Keep a clean desk and keep a clean screen.
And definitely don't forget your social media footprint. Hackers are actively mining platforms like LinkedIn and Instagram to craft highly targeted attacks. So just make sure those casual office selfies aren't accidentally displaying a whiteboard full of passwords in the background. You don't want to hand them the blueprints to the organization for some likes.
Okay, final section. Section 6. How do we put all this into action?
If you take away just one thing from this explainer, make it this simple, 3-step daily mantra. Stop, check, report. Do not click fast. Verify the sender, or physically call the person making an unusual request. And finally, report it immediately. Honestly, rapid reporting is the absolute best way to prevent massive damage.
Ultimately, cybersecurity starts and ends with your awareness. By building these simple daily habits, you're no longer the weakest link in the chain. You are an impenetrable frontline. So, the next time a hyper-urgent email hits your inbox, just ask yourself, are you going to open the door, or are you going to be the firewall? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Stay sharp and stay secure.